What is up, guys? Bryce Peelstick here, and today we're talking about Photoshop. And if you're a photographer or any sort of digital designer, you use masks on a regular basis, and they can sometimes be tricky or difficult. So today we're talking about masking done the easy way. So let's get into it. So we're here in Photoshop, and we're going to go ahead and mask out this camera. If you select W on your keyboard, this will bring up the object selection tool. And if you're using Photoshop 2020, Adobe has launched a new feature on here that uses Adobe Sensei, Adobe's AI software, to interpolate the object that you're trying to select and puts a fairly accurate selection around that object. So with the object selection tool, let's go ahead and drag the selection box around the camera, and Adobe Sensei will do its work. And we can see the selection is fairly nice. It missed some parts in here, but it does a good job, and we can touch that up. So if you hit Shift on your keyboard and drag around the areas that we want to select, it'll add to the selection. We can go ahead and do that around the rest of the camera. That's looking fairly good there. So we'll go ahead and select mask and mask out the camera. And that's looking pretty bad, but no worries. We're gonna touch that up here in just a second. So what I always like to do after I mask something is create a duplicate layer and drop the opacity to roughly around 20%. So we can see the background and what we're doing in the areas that we're trying to affect. So let's go ahead and do that. Hit Command or Control J on your keyboard. Then we'll hide the mask by selecting Shift and clicking the mask. Now I'll drop this layer down and change the opacity to 20%. Now we can kind of see the background and the areas that we're gonna affect. Next, we'll head into the mask by double clicking on the mask layer. And this will bring up the Select and Mask dialog box. And from here, we'll use the Refine Brush tool over in the top left, where you can select R on your keyboard. And we'll go ahead and draw a little outline around the entire camera, and this will touch up the original selection mask from Adobe Sensei. You don't need to do every single part, just the parts that are affected that are not crisp. That's looking pretty good. I'll go ahead and smooth out this mask just a little bit for the areas that we didn't touch up. It'll just make it a little bit smoother there on the sides. And 5 should be fine. That looks good. We'll click OK, and we can check out the mask by holding Alt or Option on Mac and clicking into the mask. And it'll show us this very not so beautiful looking mask, but don't worry, we'll get this touched up here. So if you select B on your keyboard, this will bring up the brush tool, and you're gonna wanna change the mode from normal to opacity. Now this is a very powerful tool that allows you to paint over certain areas without affecting other areas. So for instance, if you have black selected as your brush color, it will paint all areas that are not 100% white, and it won't affect areas that are 100% white. So if we look at this with our black selected as the brush color, if we paint over from black to white, it only affects the non-white areas. Anything that is 100% white, it does not affect. This is a very powerful tool for masking and very simple. So we'll go ahead and touch up the areas around the mask. And this makes masking so much easier. You don't have to worry about messing up. You can just touch up the mask. There's not much to it. So now if you select X on your keyboard, it'll invert your colors over here to white. And we'll go ahead and paint in some areas that we want to be affected. Go ahead and paint that in. Select X, we'll remove some of this guy, X again, paint it in. Just kind of going back and forth between the two different options here. Now we'll just go around the outside of the mask and touch up the areas we want to show. Hit X to invert your brush colors and hide areas that you don't want to show. And that's looking pretty good. There's a little bit of touch-ups that we can do, and it's fairly easy to touch up. We can just adjust the feather right up here at the top. That'll soften up the edge of the mask there, get rid of some of that grainy sort of masking there. And then we can just use a brush and touch up the rest of it just as normal. So make sure that you change the mode from overlay back to normal, otherwise it won't have any effect. Now we can come in here and then just touch up the rest of the areas that we weren't able to get with the overlay mask blending mode. There you have it. There's the camera without the mask and the camera with the mask. Very quick, very easy. Let's do another example. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this layer mask. Let's go ahead and mask out some of these coffee beans. So select W on your keyboard to select the object selection tool and drag a box around the beans that you want. And to add other ones, again, just hold Shift and make the selection. Now we'll go ahead and hit mask to mask these out. And again, the mask is very edgy. It does not look that good. So we'll go ahead and touch that up by double clicking into the mask. And we'll use the refine brush tool to touch up the outside edges of the beans. Now we'll adjust the smooth slider to make the selection a bit more softer. You can see the before smooth and the after smooth. Okay, we'll go ahead and hit OK. Now we have a nice mask around our beans and we just need to remove some of the white. So hit B on your keyboard to bring up the brush tool, select overlay from the mode drop down, and with your color selected to black, we'll go ahead and touch up the outside of these beans. That looks good. Touch this one up, add a little bit to this outside, just hit X so that your brush is on white. You can go inside and just touch it up. All right, now hit Alt or Option on Mac, click Demask, and we'll be able to see the selection. Looks like this one is touched up a bit. So again, change your brush to white. And we can just paint over until it shows up. There you go. Now you have your beans. All right, we'll run through one more example real quick just so that you guys really get the hang of this. So we'll go ahead and delete that layer mask. And let's go ahead and mask out the broken in Canon Lens here. So if we click W on the keyboard, make a selection around the object, go ahead and hit mask, and we'll go ahead and touch this up with the refine edge brush tool. And we'll just paint around the areas that need it. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. I'm not gonna smooth this one. It looks fine as is. And then we'll click into the mask, holding Alt or Option on Mac. Hit B for brush on your keyboard with the brush selected to overlay and the foreground to black. We'll go ahead and paint out the areas that we don't want. And this one will be really quick and easy. And then hit X to paint in the areas that we do want. Oop, we'll hide that. Go back to white, paint this in here. Go back to black, maybe hide some of that. White, paint this in. That looks pretty good. So again, hold Alt or Option and click out of the mask, or you can just click on the image itself. And we'll go ahead and smooth out this mask here, just a soft feather. And then we can go ahead and just touch up the areas that need a little bit more refinement on here. And make sure you change the blending mode of your brush from overlay to normal. Otherwise it won't do anything. All right, there you have it. And that's it. Masking made easy using the quick selection tool, the refine edge tool, and the overlay blending mode on a brush to make masking easy. So if you guys have any questions about the content I covered today, drop them in the comments below. I'll be sure to take a look at them. If you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does help. Subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one.